Pleasure is mine. Let's deal with this video first. I'm not showing it. Do not put it up again. Omar did not show requisite sensitivity to 9/11. Some people did something, not the way to talk about 9/11. I gave her the benefit of context. I showed her the whole thing. I showed the whole part of her speech about it. The way the president dealt with it, we just debated. What is your take on what she said?
Well, you know, Chris, we have 571 days until the most important election of our lifetime. We have health care on the ballot. We've got good wages on the ballot. We've got our democracy is on the ballot. And what Donald Trump wants to do in the 571 days between now and the election is distract people. He doesn't want to talk about health care because he doesn't have a plan other than to take away people's health care. He doesn't want to talk about the issues that matter most in communities across this country. The distraction of 2018 was caravans because they didn't want to talk about health care. And what voters want to know, Chris, and this is what we're getting at the Democratic Party, what voters want to know going into this cycle is who has my back? Who can I trust to keep their promises? And that is why Donald Trump wants to talk about these issues right now, because he is hoping that for the next 570 days, we talk about one or two members of Congress. He doesn't want us to talk about the fact that Democrats believe that health care is a right for all, and we're going to keep our promise and have your back, whereas he has a knife in your back.
Listen.
We are keeping our promises to make sure that this economy works for everyone and not just for a few at the top. And he has passed the most reckless tax cut in American history.
I hear you on the issues.
That's why he wants to distract.
I hear you on the issues. Nobody will ever give you more time or your candidates more time to discuss them than my show will. I promise you that, because it matters. However, so does 9/11. And having a member of your ranks who deals with it that way, some people did something, and I gave her the benefit of full context. Isn't that something that you should have a comment on as opposed to just seeing it as a distraction?
Well, Chris, everybody remembers where they were on 9/11. I remember exactly where I was. And I saw, we all lived this. It was the worst day of our lifetimes, and one of the 2 or 3 worst days in American history. And we should never forget that, and we never will forget that. And as Paul correctly pointed out, we saw what Donald Trump was saying on that same day. Bragging again, inaccurately, that his building was now the tallest building in New York, and talking about what people were doing in Jersey City. And so, these comments, we must all, again, understand the legacy of 9/11 and the backlash that occurred post 9/11 against so many people. Not only of Muslim faith, but one of the first murders after 9/11 was the murder of a Sikh American who was a gas station owner in Phoenix, mistaken for Muslim. So we saw so many unspeakable tragedies. And I will tell you, someone who stood up after that murder, George W. Bush, who said, "We are not at war with Islam." And he was unequivocal in that statement. And I applaud President Bush for that.
This president's very different about it. I'm just saying, I hear you on it, Tom, but he didn't start this particular round of it. This is about her comments. They're not the first one she's made. I've invited her on the show. It's an open invite. I'd love for her to explain herself about it. I think the audience should hear from that. That's why I asked you a couple different times to opine on it. I don't want to spend all our time on it.